You don't need a Hollywood budget to make your own virtual production short film, and we are gonna prove it to you. This is week 2 of making an indie virtual production short film using Unreal Engine and our LED wall. And by the end of the series, you should know how to make your own virtual production short film, what equipment you need to do it, and how much it all costs.
If you haven't seen last week's video, check it out. But as a quick recap, we established what our movie was going to be about, xenomorph alien-themed thriller, and successfully did a performance capture test using Move 1, turning me into a xenomorph. I also laid out all of the things that have to get done in pre-production, production, and then editing to get this thing done and released. But we've got one major hiccup. I'm going to tell you about it right now. I'm going on vacation. It's been planned for a while, far earlier than this short film, but I'm not going to leave the team hanging, so I'm going to bust my butt this week because I leave next week for 2 weeks. So before that happens, I have 2 tasks this week: scripting and shot listing.
While Josh is on script and shot list, we had a meeting to go through the most important parts of this film, the VFX. The stuff that's built in Unreal Engine and Blender, etc. Because remember, this is an indie short film. So if the full shots with graphics and VFX are gonna be bad, it's gonna be a flop.
Move
AI retargeting.
was successful.
Polishing all of this stuff to make the alien realistic. Retargeting the main animation of the body.
If you could rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you had to retarget the entire thing, what would you say the rating would be on that?
Maybe it's 5. You retarget only the legs, body, shoulders, and the arms. Human body has a leg, but the alien has something
Like a dog leg almost.
Was Move AI not successful, or is it because we have a model that maybe isn't a typical human figure?
I'm retargeting only this bone
Yeah.
and this bone.
Yeah.
Would you say out of all this alien, the entire short film, this is the biggest challenge, is the animation of the alien, correct? None of this will look good if the alien animation isn't as good as possible.
I know this puts a lot of pressure on Serhi to deliver those crazy CGI shots, especially at the end of the film, but if those VFX shots aren't perfect, people will notice and the rest of the movie is gonna suffer.
Less is more with the xenomorph, so we won't have as many shots we need to get perfect, but it does put the pressure on because those few shots need to be perfect.
Alex had a great point here. The best thing to do is to hide the creature as much as possible. It's easier for us on the filming side and definitely easier for Serhi on the VFX side.
Wow, someone has escaped, or one of these things have escaped. And and then immediately you're like, okay, this is obviously not human, it's obviously not on this.
All right, we gotta back up here for just a second. The entire concept of this movie was based on a pre-vis made by Serhi in Unreal Engine. Now, if you don't know pre-vis, it doesn't always look the best. It's just a proof of concept to show the general storyline and what kind of shots we could get in a movie. Obviously, some movies pre-vis is basically the movie. Ours was just to conceptualize if this was even a good idea.
I don't think we need this next shot. I don't think we need this.
And this one, we don't need this.
What's that?
You're pulling back, you see an unhatched egg or a hatched egg.
I think there needs to be a shot before this. Back to this egg shot, what if there was one broken egg, one missing egg? Could lead to the fact that they took one, and then this is something where like, brought one on board, there's a hatched one. Could that play to the story? Is this the person that's recording the testimonial?
Oh, on the console, there's gonna be different deaths. One of them
Right.
is the practical effect that we're talking about where he gets
Gotcha.
a face hug. What me and Serhi are talking about here is a trick used on the original Alien film. The Alien movie, there are these creatures called face huggers. They basically look like this. What they did on the movie was they did makeup on the hands and then came at the camera, creating a face hugger attack. We're gonna do the same for one of the deaths of our characters. Going with like a POV action camera for all of them, you could practically film them not on an LED wall.
For sure,
Very easily.
I agree. I don't think any of those need to be on LED.
No.
None.
Now that all of those meetings are wrapped up, the pressure's on me to come up with a V1 script so that we can get rolling on this thing for real. The rest of my week is devoted to finishing this script.
Without the script, we cannot storyboard. And without the storyboard, we can't start planning our virtual production shots. Shooting on an LED wall is costly, so we need every bit of time to prep as possible. We're pretty lucky that we have our own LED wall to work with, so we're not paying an hourly or daily rental rate. So we were gonna take from our master list of LED rental rates across North America and figure out what a day rate might cost on an LED wall of our size and factor it into this overall budget. Because remember, not everything needs to be shot on an LED wall. In fact, it's more effective to shoot less on an LED wall. Some things are better done virtual than others, and hopefully we can teach you how to distinguish those scenes. I'm taking on the producing role for this film, so once the script is done, I can get a better idea of what our budget might be, and I can factor all these things together. We still need to find someone to do set deck. We need to figure out how much it's gonna cost to build the practical set design for this. And that means we kind of need to have a pretty good idea of what the environment is going to look like before we start building the actual set design. And I need the script and storyboard in order to do that.
Alien on 3, 1, 2, 3. Alien!
The next step for getting this thing done was loose scripting with Austin and Reed, and then really just putting my nose to the grindstone and hammering out a draft. 3 hours later, I was happy with what I'd come up with, and it was time to reveal it to Sari.
I have something for you.
Yeah, okay.
Give it a read.
Like right now?
Yeah. All right, Sirhi, you gave it a first read. What do you think?
It's actually like excellent script, but how we make the weapon?
Don't worry about that. We'll figure out all the prop stuff. Don't worry about that. I think you like it.
Like if you add like at the end the action phrase,
Yeah.
for example, gonna get me, bitch, and something like that. It's actually wanna be awesome.
Let's go.
Oh.
Sweet.
So now that Josh has finished the script before he goes on vacation, it's now turned to us, and I will be taking over from now on. One of the greatest weaknesses and strengths of an indie short film is budget. Now we're gonna dive into that next week. But what I mean by that is we're gonna have a limited budget set aside for this. But that also means that we have to reach out to some partners and figure out if anybody can help us. Now, this isn't something that just we can do. You can reach out to partners or companies that you want to use their gear, because sometimes they're willing to help an indie filmmaker try and achieve their goal. So that's what we're hoping for here. And hopefully in the next week, we're gonna have an idea of which of these companies are gonna be able to help us make this film the best it can possibly be. Stay tuned.